evening and welcome to the October 19th, 2022 Mercer Island Arts Council regular video meeting. The time is now 5:33. I'm Elizabeth Mitchell, Chair of the Arts Council. Tonight's Arts Council meeting is using video conferencing technology provided by Zoom. The video of this meeting is being broadcast live via Zoom and will be uploaded to the city's YouTube channel later this week. City staff, liaisons to the Arts Council, and other panelists are also participating in tonight's meeting remotely. Other public audience members may be listening to the meeting by telephone or online. Additionally, the city has opened up the community center to provide public space for viewing and participating in the meeting. Welcome to all, and thank you for joining us tonight. So for the first thing tonight, we're really excited to welcome a new Arts Council member, Laylo Brule. And Laylo, would you be willing to share just a little bit about what interested you in volunteering to be on the Arts Council?
Sure, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I look forward to actually meeting everyone at some point. I'm not a real Zoom lover, but I realize that's kind of where we are right now. We've been actually residents of Mercer Island for almost 40 years, over 40 years, I will say. So we have seen changes that are both good and maybe some we don't agree with. I have worked for several years with Mercer Island Youth and Family Services Board. I was president of that board for a couple of years, some years ago. So I had some involvement with the city, with the process in those days. I am sort of getting close to retirement, so I have a little more time, which brings me to a place where I would like to be able to participate a little bit more in Mercer Island's community. This seems like a fit for me for several reasons. As I've looked through the materials that I think I have been able to sort of work through as you all have sent them to me, one of the things, I like all of it. It all sounds very exciting, very great. The word enrichment comes to me very easily. And as I think about this community and how I might like to think about this council and what we would do, I think adding enrichment to this population, it would be probably primary for me in whatever way that means. And certainly with all the visual arts and the music, that's all wonderful. I would like to think about bringing in more literary, more writers. I think those ideas that are discussed. I'm also quite a proponent of gathering of people. For years, we watched people gather on this island. In those gatherings, big things, little things would happen. Connections would be made and things would actually happen. So one of the things I don't honestly want to do is to just discuss stuff. I really want to see how we can make things happen going forward. But that term enrichment is one that probably defines best, what I would like to do while working with you all in whatever ways I can do it. And I have some history and some background and stuff in making things happen that might be useful, maybe not. So that's a little bit about who I am. I'm glad to be here. As I said, I look forward to one of the things I mentioned to Eleanor when we talked, as I said, I've been on several boards throughout my life. Having a kind of gathering of the board members in person so that we can actually meet each other eyeball to eyeball and say, let me know who you are. Let's see how we can work. Let's see what I don't like about you. Let's really be people. I think would be something I would like to propose as something that might be in the works as a way for this community. I mean, again, as I've been on boards, when boards are better connected, not just personally, but interpersonally, things are more likely to actually happen. So that would be one thing I'd throw out there. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I look forward to hearing what's going to be coming up. And I'll be looking forward to whatever I can do to kind of make things happen. That's important to me. I'm not so big on just discussion. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Probably more than you wanted to hear, but there you go.
No, I really appreciate your enthusiasm and your passion. And I think that you will find that you have an excellent spot here among fellow arts lovers and lovers of Mercer Island. So again, welcome to you. We all look forward to working with you. Board members, can you please ensure that your microphones are turned on for the roll call? And will staff please call the roll?
Thank you, Chair. Rosemary Moore.
Present.
Suzanne Scone. Elizabeth Mitchell.
Here.
Laylo Brule.
Oh, here. I'm here.
Jonathan Harrington,
Here.
Rachel Blum,
Present.
Daniel Becker.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm so proud everyone is present. That's wonderful. I don't know the last time we've had a full Arts Council board at a meeting, so yay for us. So moving on, individuals wishing to speak live during the appearances portion of our meeting may do so by telephone, via Zoom, or in person at Mercer Island Community and Events Center. Provided, however, they registered their desire to speak with the city admin staff by 4 p.m. today. Our city admin staff will call on you by name or telephone number when it is your turn to speak. City staff, is there anyone who signed up for appearances that wishes to address the board?
No, Chair.
Thank you. On to the department report. And for that, we welcome Eleanor Knight, Recreation Coordinator.
Good evening. Let me share my screen. All right. Hello, Arts Council. I'm so happy to have everybody in attendance and welcome Lalo to the council. So excited to have you on board. First off, we're going to start with our department report, just some updates and some upcoming items through the end of the year. Celebrating art this October. So October is National Arts and Humanities Month. Mercer Island celebrating it through some social media posts and some upcoming events. At the end of October, you'll start to see some Halloween things popping up, and then our Illuminate MI project coming forward. First, Rocktober is on October 21st. That's this Friday from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be an afternoon of rock and roll and root beer garden and some live music. It's going to be a lot of fun. Attendees are registration is required for attendees, but we would love to have the Arts Council to come and visit and meet with community members and join in on the fun. Here are some Halloween weekend events. The Town Center Trick or Treating is in partnership with the Chamber of Commerce. It's going to be on Friday, October 28th. The Pumpkin Walk is on Sunday, October 30th from 5 to 8 p.m. We do need some carved pumpkins for this event, so you're welcome to drop off some pumpkins on October 30th at Mercerdale to be part of the walk. Big special thanks to our sponsors, MI Martial Arts, John L. Scott, and Greg Rosenwald Real Estate. This is going to be so much fun, and we'd really love for the Arts Council to come out and be a part of this event as well. The My Ball Holiday Show is coming up. It starts on October 24th with showings both at the community center and at the My Ball Gallery. So please be sure to stop by and see this year's works. It's usually a big assortment of different 2D and 3D items, usually holiday themes. Always wonderful to see that. And Illuminate MI. So I wanted to include this, even though some of this information is still being developed, but because we won't meet again until January, just a reminder that tree lighting is going to be on December 2nd, and to keep an eye out on the website and for emails from us and on social media platforms about all the stuff that's going to happen with Illuminate MI in December. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleanor. I will also mention that we have another partnership for a Halloween event happening on Saturday, and that partnership is with Youth Theater Northwest. It will be their film premiere, Night of a Thousand Scares. Full disclosure, my daughter's in one of the films. It should be a lot of fun, especially an event that's kind of geared towards older kids on the island, which is great. They're recommending ages 12 and up. So, and there will be a cover in case of rain. So that's at Mercerdale Park on Saturday evening, if any arts members want to come out and support that. Moving on, our next item of regular business is to review and consider approving meeting minutes. Board members, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 20th, 2022 regular meeting?
So moved.
I didn't see. Daniel, thank you, Daniel. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Suzanne. So there's a motion by Daniel, a second by Suzanne. Board members, please turn on your microphones. And will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair. Rosemary Moore,
I approve.
Suzanne Scone,
Approve.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Approve.
Layla Brule,
Approve.
Jonathan Harrington,
Approve.
Rachel Blum,
Approve.
Daniel Becker.
Approve.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. Our next item of regular business is to review and consider approving meeting minutes from the September 14th, 2022 special meeting. Board members, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the September 14th special meeting?
And Elizabeth, I'm sorry, I can't remember. I wasn't able to attend. Should I abstain or can I vote to approve?
You can vote to approve the minutes even if you weren't there.
Okay,
Thank you.
So moved again.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion by Daniel and a second by Suzanne. Board members, please turn on your microphones, and will the city staff once again please conduct a roll call vote?
Thank you, Chair. Rosemary Moore,
Approve.
Suzanne Scone,
Approve.
Elizabeth Mitchell,
Approve.
Layla Brule,
Approve.
Jonathan Harrington,
Approve.
Rachel Blum,
Approve.
Daniel Becker.
Approve.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Motion passes and the minutes are approved. The fourth item of regular business is an Arts Council Events Committee update. And for this, we welcome Katie Herzog, Recreation Coordinator. Welcome, Katie.
Thank you. I will share my screen and we will get started. Okay. There. Great. So I am Katie Herzog, Recreation Coordinator, and tonight I will give the Events Committee update. A little bit of background. On the April 20th Arts Council meeting, it was decided that an events committee be established to inform staff on arts and culture priorities to enhance existing city coordinated events. The members of our committee are Chair Elizabeth Mitchell, Daniel Becker, and Rachel Blum. And the events committee met with staff, myself and Eleanor Knight, on September 7th for our first meeting. So we had a really great discussion and a lot of fun, I will say. We talked a lot about the summer events that had just taken place this past summer. Staff, of course, we were very happy in the success of these events. Summer Celebration came back after 3 years. We had record numbers at both Mercerdale in the afternoon and Luther Burbank for the fireworks show in the evening. And we received lots of positive feedback. We also held 5 mostly music concerts at Mercerdale. Again, all very well attended and enjoyed by all ages. Shakespeare in the Park held 19 shows at the Luther Burbank Amphitheater, and they were very happy to be back at Luther Burbank, which they consider their home stage. So as a committee, we talked a lot about suggestions and ideas, activities that would enhance these events. We went in depth, shall I say, on face painting. So we kind of just talked a full recommendation on things that would enhance these events, maybe on a more small scale or individual scale to start us off. Then we were reminded of the 2022 City Arts and Cultural Work Plan. These were 2 priorities that kind of help shape our focus for our committee and the work moving forward. So during our conversation, there were some key objectives or themes that rose to the top when we were thinking about how to enhance events. We really wanted to move away from those singular events and singular recommendations and look kind of on a high level to give those priorities that would then help staff on a range of events. And keeping in mind that our limited resources will be moving forward as well. We'll probably have the same staffing and financial resources that we had this past year. So the objectives that came out of our meeting were to 1, develop communication tools to easily share arts and culture events with the Mercer Island community. 2, gain partnerships to expand activities for people of all ages within existing community events through arts and culture. 3, work with event partners to engage in environmentally friendly efforts. And 4, create presence and exposure at events for the Arts Council to engage with the community. So tonight, I would love to welcome any of the community members to give additional input. We would then encourage the full council to discuss those objectives that were listed. And we will come back to this topic tonight to integrate, hopefully, these objectives into the City Arts and Cultural Work Plan for 23 and 24, which will be presented this evening by Eleanor Knight. So that is my quick presentation on the events committee. I can go back to our objective slide, but again, would like to welcome any of the community members, Elizabeth or Daniel, who are at the September meeting to add anything that you might have.
Thank you, Katie. That was a fabulous recapping of a very long and fun meeting. Yes, I was nominated to do face painting. Never disclose hidden talents to this group, apparently. But it was a really positive meeting. I think we came away from it with just really an appreciation of what went well, and then how can we improve on that. So I don't really think there was much negative in the meeting, which was really fantastic. And we already have number 2 that we've started since that meeting, right? We have YTN. One of the things we talked about was wanting to have something. I feel like we have a lot of stuff for younger kids on the island, and so one of the things we talked about is outreach to middle school, high schoolers, and this film festival is a fabulous example of that. So I think the only other comment that I would add that's kind of come up since then is just a focus going forward, sort of a rebranding of Mercer Island Community and arts events and how we put them forward to the community. And I think that ties in with these objectives nicely as well. Daniel, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
No, I think the two of you have summarized everything. I'm mostly just interested if the rest of the group has any other feedback.
Fantastic. I will take hands if anyone has any comments or questions. I can see your little hands in the, oh, that's easier.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing to make it.
No, it was helpful to have the objectives up there, but then I'm not going to be able to see anyone's hand. Does anybody want to comment, or was that pretty concise? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. Again, thank you, Katie, for a great report. Thank you, Daniel and Rachel, for a great subcommittee work. Moving on
I see a hand.
Oh, you see one. Oh, okay, fantastic. Yes, Rosemary.
Hi, yes, I was a little slow in raising my hand. I
That's
just wanted to add that the policy subcommittee had a couple of meetings, which are going to be discussed later in the meetings. But pretty much the priorities that we came up with are slightly different, but in the main are very much the same as the ones that you've come up with, which is a good thing. But we can discuss that, the policy subcommittee recommendations or suggestions a bit later. Thanks.
Fantastic. I also noticed that when I was reading the reports ahead of time, and I thought that was really great that while slight variations, it seems like all of our groups are really on the same page, which is fantastic. So we will go ahead, if there's no other questions or comments, we'll go ahead and transition to our 5th item of regular business, which is the Public Art Committee update. And for this, we are going to welcome Sarah Blubis, CIP Project Manager. Welcome, Sarah.
Hi, good evening, Arts Council. Great to see you all. So we submitted a staff report that you all hopefully were able to read before tonight's meeting in relation to our first Public Art Committee meeting. Daniel, Suzanne, and I met with Paul West from the city and Noelle Higgins, both of whom were at the last meeting to present on the Luther Burbank Park Public Art Project. So that's really where our Public Art Committee started when we met last week. I provided an overview of what we discussed, but I think I might turn it over to Daniel, if he doesn't mind, to just kind of give an update on what we discussed and where we're going next.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't going to be super long. We didn't get that far. Like Sarah said, it was strictly related to the Luther Burbank docs. Mostly it was Suzanne and I asking questions about the RFP process and how it works so that we can learn about it. It sounds like the consultant already has a plan for how that would work and just wanted feedback. I think in particular, we both wanted to just make sure that the RFP encourages sufficient good proposals to the space. We think it's a really cool space and there's really good options. And we just wanted to make sure that we give people enough leeway to present something, but also are specific enough that the projects are good. And I would just say to everyone here that, I mean, keep in mind that ultimately the subcommittee doesn't actually approve anything. We're just sort of advising the consultant on like how this would go. And once the proposals come back, that's going to come back to the entire group here to actually, for all 7 of us to figure out which ones we like and which ones we would recommend to the city council. And the city council is the one that actually makes final approval on this. And so, I mean, the next steps here are, I think we're gonna have one more meeting to review the actual RFP, and then they're gonna put the RFP out and try to get the community to submit proposals. Is that accurate, Suzanne or Sarah? Can
Yeah.
add if needed.
Great report.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that clarification, Daniel. Sarah, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
No, that's it. Like Daniel mentioned, we meet again next week. No, not next week, 2 weeks from now. See, October, it's all bleeding into other months now. So we will hopefully have an RFP to review. Then we may, pending on how that process goes, we may come back to the full Arts Council just for a final endorsement on the RFP before we distribute it. So maybe look out for that in the next couple of months. But yeah, it's a fun project that we're excited to continue moving forward. So thank you, Suzanne and Daniel, for being willing to jump on the ride with us.
Thank you, all 3 of you, for all of your dedication and hard work. Unless there is any questions or comments on that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. But I don't think there's much to discuss at this point. So once again, thank you. And we'll move on to the 6th item of regular business, which is the policy committee update. And for this item, we're going to welcome back Eleanor Knight, Recreation Coordinator.
All right. So the policy subcommittee, the first item that we worked on was the 2023-2024 City Arts and Culture Work Plan. So I'm just going to go over a couple items relating to that. And then we'll move forward in discussing what we need out of the Arts Council tonight. So just some background, the Parks, Recreation, Open Space, or the PROS plan that you've heard about many times. Goal 6 is facilitate and promote comprehensive and engaging arts and culture experiences. So we really wanted to embody that moving forward. And that led to the development of the 2022 City Arts and Culture Work Plan, which here you can see those priorities that were developed for last year. And the priority number 2 is to develop the 2023-2024 City Arts and Culture Work Plan for the next biennium. So this was the first work plan item for the policy committee. To the next slide. A little bit about the committee discussions. The first policy committee work item, as I said, was establishing that City Arts and Culture Work Plan. The members are Rosemary Moore, Jonathan Harrington, and Suzanne Scone. Our major topics of discussion were communication needs, which came out of the Art Summit discussions, stewarding sustainable practices, and encouraging diversity. And I'm going to have those committee members discuss this with the full group about some of these items that we went through in our meetings after this presentation, because there's a couple things I want to go over first. So just a little bit about the work plan structure. This is going to be important as we go through the draft tonight and talk about priorities and objective items. So priority items are those major priorities. This is an example from the 2022 City Arts and Culture Work Plan. Priority 3 was garner community input on and support of city arts and culture. And then under that was the objective item. So the objective that relates to that priority was deliver performing arts, visual arts, and other city arts and culture programs to the community. So the 2023-2024 draft priorities that were developed by staff after the committee meeting. First is priority 1, which is strengthen community awareness of and support for Mercer Island's arts and culture ecosystem. Priority 2 is invite new dialogues and partnerships to support emerging arts and culture themes in the community. Priority 3 is complete 2 major city arts and culture policy projects. The first being update the comprehensive arts and culture work plan. And the second being develop a 6-year spending plan for the 1% for the Art in Public Places Fund. Priority 4 is deliver high quality arts and culture programming to the Mercer Island community. So tonight, we're going to discuss those priority items as a full group. We're then going to discuss potential objectives for the 2023-2024 City Arts and Culture Work Plan and discuss integration of the Special Events Committee objectives and other suggestions regarding work plan priorities. Next steps, following tonight, staff will refine a draft of the 2023-2024 City Arts and Culture Work Plan. Staff will collaborate with the policy committee to review the draft. Staff will then evaluate necessary resources needed to complete work plan items. And the draft 2023-2024 City Arts and Culture Work Plan will be presented at the January 2023 meeting for endorsement. So from here, I would like for the subcommittee members to talk a little bit about the items here, the major topics of discussion, how we landed on these, and Jonathan shared a great document before the meeting over email. And if he would like to present a little bit on that as well.
Perhaps if I could just jump in here and say that we felt that it was important to increase communications generally, growing out of the Arts Summit earlier this year, to talk further with more artist groups, to provide them to see what we can do by discussions with the community, with the council departments, and I mean with the city departments and with the public, to see how we can meet their needs as they express them, and also to reach out to more artists and artist groups to engage with them. We also considered that sustainability and environmental sustainability is extremely important. But I'd like to pass it over to Jonathan.
Yeah, so can I actually share my screen with this email that I sent out? Is that okay? Let me try here.
Yes, please go ahead, Jonathan. So it's the green button at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I picked the right one here.
Fantastic. We can see it.
You can see it. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So the intent here was simply to add a few additional details about the 3 items that have already been mentioned by others and also Rosemary. The first one being to provide a little bit more detail about exactly what the strategy for communication would look like. And so what I did is for each one of these 3 different suggestions. So I went back to look at past reports, and it seems that going back to like 2018, there's been a continuing interest in trying to develop like a hub that could be used, some way of a technical tool can be used to share ideas. And of course, that also came up in the Arts Summit. So just provided a few sentences about that. And then the other 2 items are, the city has been talking quite a bit about both diversity and sustainability for years. So I was thinking, well, wouldn't it be good if the Arts Council can kind of harmonize our policies with other parts of the city government? And so the first statement simply is calling for, being, it's like an invitation. So both of these, the sustainability statement and the diversity statements, are both invitations to the city, telling citizens that the Arts Council is interested in hearing about and helping to promote lots of different new ideas that kind of celebrate the diversity of our community. And also that we care about sustainability, that we care about, environmental protection, we care about low carbon development. There's a survey just sent out by the city talking about, strategies the city can develop for low carbon development. So that's basically, what we were intending to do is just requesting that we could add a little tiny bit more detail to the overall arts plan, thinking, well, this is a public document that, citizens are going to see. And so it just provides a little more detail and clarity to the citizens of the island regarding our work. And so I guess if we're asking for, my hope would be that we could include these statements or some version of them in the overall new 2023-24 plan. So the first statement on the hub is under priority 1 per the new draft that Eleanor presented, and the others are related to priority 2. So I simply numbered them to be consistent with her draft.
Thank you, Jonathan. Did you have more that you wanted to add to that?
Simply that I hope that we can actually include these statements or something similar to them in the final plan.
Fantastic. Thank you. I just would like to remind everybody that this is the overall arts and culture priorities for the entire city of Mercer Island. It's not just the Arts Council. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. And that we want to keep our focus really on the whole focus of arts and culture. And while I think that sustainability and things like that also came up in the events subcommittee, I think it's really important that we do keep our focus on arts and culture and not make it too narrow so that we actually end up boxing ourselves in. So I think that's kind of an important thing to remember. And so I think we would I'd love to open up this for discussion and hear what other Arts Council members have to say. So if you can stop sharing your screen, Jonathan, thank you so much.
Okay.
And go ahead and I'll open up the floor if you want to raise your hand.
I'm gonna pull up the draft document just so the priorities are on the screen, and
Thank you.
you taking a few notes during
I was
the
having a hard
discussion
time
as well.
seeing, my eyes are getting old. Jonathan's document was smaller, so if you have it in big type, that's helpful. And then, like I said, I'd love to open up the floor to any of the other members of the committee or council members who would like to speak.
How does that look? Is that big enough?
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay.
Suzanne?
Well, I'll go ahead and pipe in on just on 1 and 2. They look like Jonathan's 1 and 2 to me. And I think they go really well together, because if you're going to have an invitation to citizens for new ideas about arts or culture or literature or some of the things that maybe areas of art we haven't explored, and their thoughts of how to maybe integrate sustainability in there. I think you do need the art hub, the communication part developed as well. So I just think those two go hand in hand, because otherwise I don't see how you have an invitation without getting the invite out and getting the information in, and then sharing, once you get the information back in, sharing it back out to the greater community. So that's how I see those two kind of fitting together.
Yeah, and just to inform a little bit about that, when we go forward and start writing out the objectives, so those sub bullets that'd be like 2.1, we could use language like develop communication within the Mercer Island arts community, or encourage communication within the Mercer Island arts community. That's how we begin to word some of those objectives to make actionable items moving forward, for the city to start doing staff projects relating to that.
Great. Yes, Rosemary.
Just to pick up on what Eleanor has just said, I don't think we should limit it to the Mercer Island arts community. I think we would want to have a reach out to the arts community as a whole. Obviously bearing in mind that, that we are Mercer Island and it's our needs that are the priority, but we don't want to, as you say, box ourselves in.
Yeah, I think that's a good point in, and I think that my understanding of the language, and this is something that we can break apart later and through, you know, have staff help us wording wise, but is that the arts and cultural scene as in on Mercer Island, not saying that we wouldn't partner with outside sources, obviously, any partnership we can to bring arts to Mercer Island makes it Mercer Island arts and culture. So I would love to hear from, was that all, Rosemary? I didn't mean to cut you off. Would you wanted to add to that? Good.
I wanted to say, I don't know if do I need to hit something or?
Oh, if there's a little button on your screen that says raise hand, and if you can raise your hand, I will put you in the queue. But I saw Ryan actually popped up on my screen and actually turned on his video. So I'm gonna let Ryan go first, and then if you just put your hand up, then I'd love to hear what you have to say as well. Go ahead, Ryan.
Ryan Daly, Recreation Manager. I by no means wanted to cut in line there. I apologize. I was just going to chime in on behalf of staff. This is an excellent opportunity for us to receive consensus from the group and direction when creating these objectives. So, you know, I heard some comments about Mercer Island arts and culture ecosystem is the priority, but you know, speaking more about that regional reach, and if that's a priority for this group, I think that's really beneficial for staff to hear to help inform our objectives. So I just wanted to share that as a kind of a nugget to put out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And again, I think it's where we need to consider our wording and make sure that we're not like painting ourselves into a corner or narrowing it down too much while still making it clear enough what those goals and that looks like. So Lalo, did you want to go?
It's, you know, it's okay. I simply wanted to, yes, do I raise my hand so you can?
Yeah, there's actually a little button on your screen that says raise.
Well, not on my screen, unfortunately.
Oh.
Let me see.
So it should be down at the bottom where you see.
I know that it should.
But, oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Then yes, go ahead. But
wait, let's see if I do this. Nope, that isn't going to do you. Yeah, I'm on my computer. Usually I do Zoom on my iPad, so I'm a little unfamiliar with how this is actually
That's
working.
okay. You can go ahead and share what you
No,
want to share.
it's actually, it doesn't matter. I was just agreeing. I think it was with Elizabeth who was saying we want to be sharing, not rule out the arts community as a whole. I mean, we're in a very rich area to be able to pull in people of all different types of arts to bring to the community to be able to enrich, again, my term enrichment, to enrich our island and our culture. That's all I wanted to say. So I agree with that. Broader is better than narrow. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. Jonathan?
Yeah, I just want to agree with that statement that it was very important that we find more connections with the region, especially with light rail coming in, and there'll be more and more people coming in from, you know, all parts of the region coming here, you know, because of the new transportation hub, and that we need to be sensitive to the larger trends that are going on in society. that diversity and sustainability are becoming more and more important, in our region and in our country. So I think it's helpful to have kind of a clear statement saying that, you know, that we as an organization, but the city in general, cares about these ideas.
Absolutely. I do think that's important. I just want us to remember to see that focus on diversity and sustainability through the lens of arts and culture. Rosemary, yes.
Yes, thank you. And I completely agree with what Jonathan says. And yes, it's all has to be through the lens of arts and culture, because that's what we're about. I just also wanted to emphasize that, in my view, we need to, the city needs to be welcoming with arts organizations and artists, and try and solve problems with them. I mean, one of the things that came out of the Arts Summit was that they didn't have facilities, for example. Now, obviously, the city is limited in its resources, but it does have a lot of resources. It has space, it has contacts. So it'd be nice to, for this, and I know that the city does this already, and I'm not wanting to suggest that they don't, but to have front and center that to get things actually happening, sometimes one has to go that extra mile and think outside the box, and to bring additional arts activities to the island. We need to figure out how we can help that to happen. And it's not just a question of dollars always. It's a question of a little bit of imagination. I'm not sure how you can put that in a priority document, but that's my thinking.
Thank you, Rosemary. And I do agree with you that it's also about providing the space. You know, we have to have the space to bring in the artists so that they can perform. And so looking forward in our work as the Arts Council, as we look at preparing the next year and the year after that, and another pros plan will be coming around, and that's another thing that it can be introduced is you know, our job is to go back to the city council and to tell them that here's the priorities of the arts scene in Mercer Island, and how do we help to support that and promote that. And I think that space is huge. So I think besides connection and communication, that was the other big thing that came out of the Arts Summit. So thank you for saying that, Rosemary. That's appreciated. Any other comments or anything that anybody wants to weigh in on before we move forward? Haven't really heard much from Rachel or Daniel on this, not to call you out, but
Quickly,
yes.
Elizabeth, can we ask for a consensus on if we would like to make it a priority or an objective for the city to foster communication or leverage city relationships between regional arts communities, something along those lines? It doesn't need to be exact wording, but just that idea that we want to encourage.
I absolutely was going to ask that. I just wanted to make sure we'd opened up the discussion in case anybody wanted to adjust the language or the statement or anything like that.
We don't need to have we don't need to have a consensus on the language tonight. It's more just about the ideas.
But the priorities, right? I just want to hear from all the Arts Council members and make sure that everyone is on board with those priorities. So thank you. I won't forget. I promise. I have it marked on my paper. Daniel.
Yeah, so I mean, just one comment on Eleanor's point that she just made. I mean, I personally, I support connecting with other regional groups to help, but I just would want to make sure that the wording is such that's like the priority is to enhance Mercer Island arts and culture, and that we're not like trying to just throw events for, or create art for the region, like for the benefit of everybody, and that like it should be focused on for us. But I think that partnerships and you know, we can get more if we can work with other groups than we would be able to do alone. I mean, overall, I think these lists are great. I guess the question that I don't have much feedback overall on these points that hasn't been said. I just wanted clarification. Like, are we just discussing the main priorities, and then you're going to go, the staff is going to go back and write the objectives, and we're going to discuss that at a future meeting? Because I was not able to extensively review Jonathan's proposals that he had, but it looked like he was creating objectives specifically for priority 1 and 2, and I just wasn't clear like what we're actually speaking to tonight. Because if all we're speaking to are the 4 priorities like that you have in bold on here, and that you're going to go back and wordsmith those, then I think these are good. I don't have any additional feedback on that.
Yeah, we would like to have some objectives, at least some ideas of objectives to move forward with. So the document that Jonathan provided is great for us to work off of, but we would like to hear from everybody. With also inclusion of, let me scroll down here, these special events committee objectives and how those fall under these priorities. We could discuss that at the end of everyone's open comments as well.
Okay.
Okay. Did Suzanne, I saw you had your hands up. Did you?
Yeah, I think we had this discussion before that, you know, we're not just insulated with just Mercer Island artists and event, you know, projects or whatever, but yeah, we're part of a larger region. And I was just going to turn it over to staff to, I think that's a good concept, and I would rely on staff to write the wording that says we're providing this for on Mercer Island. We're not trying to do events off of Mercer Island. And we're, you know, obviously trying to provide to our citizens in the greater region. And we're trying to pull art and art related activities from the region. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a conversation that we've had before. And when it comes down to it, you know, the Arts Council we can put forward our recommendations to the council, but we're not actually the ones picking the artists. We're just trying to foster and create those relationships. So did, Jonathan, you had another comment?
Yeah, so I just want to reiterate the importance of sustainability, but also to make sure that we include a broad definition of sustainability. So like using the term sustainable practices, that doesn't really encompass, you know, the full meaning of what sustainability means in society. And so I do hope that whatever statement we have about sustainability does include the 3 main elements that are they've been included for decades, which is equity, economy, and environment, and also long-term perspectives, meaning intergenerational equity. All those concepts should be clearly articulated in the document. And that's it.
Okay. Did anybody else have any comments or thoughts before I ask for a motion? Okay. So board members, can I have a motion to endorse the discussed priorities?
I so move. You can hear me.
Thank you, Layla. Do I have a second?
Second, Rachel.
Thank you. So there's a motion by Laylo and a second by Rachel. Board members, please turn on your microphones, and will the city staff please conduct a roll call vote? Staff? Are you there?
I am here. Sorry.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
No
cannot
problem.
see the bottom of my screen, but I think I'm getting there. So apologies, Chair. Thank you. Rosemary Moore,
I approve.
Suzanne Scone,
I agree. Yes.
Elizabeth Mitchell, thank you.
I agree.
Leila Broom,
Approve.
Jonathan Harrington,
Approve.
Rachel Blum,
Approve.
Daniel Becker.
Approve.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So the motion passes. These priorities are endorsed. Our last item of regular business is the Arts Council Planning Schedule and Committee Update. And we're going to welcome back Eleanor Knight, Recreation Coordinator, to receive the update.
Yeah, quickly before we move on to that, just a reminder of the next steps on those priorities. We endorse them, but they're going to come back to you. We're going to take those priorities, work on the objectives with the policies committee, and then come back in the because it's still a draft, back to the 2023 January meeting, and you will see them again.
Thank you for that clarification.
Give me a second.
Eleanor, are you bringing up the planning schedule? Okay,
Yep.
okay. While you're doing that, I'll fill some time here. If I'm okay to do that, Chair. Awesome. So as Eleanor's bringing that up, I do want to just touch on a previous meeting. We received a presentation regarding the Gathering Stacks potential concept project that I just wanted to provide an update of where we are with that, which is a very limited update. That project, the concept was presented to the Parks and Recreation Commission at their last meeting. I can't remember the date, early October, or I'm sorry, September, and they were discussing that concept. There were no outcomes from that meeting. Staff has yet to be back in contact with the potential donor. So we don't know for sure what to expect, I guess, at this point, what that proposal, if a proposal comes forward, what that will be. So I just wanted to highlight that to this group. Potentially within the planning schedule, you could see a donation acceptance proposal come forward that we would be potentially reviewing at that time. So just wanted to highlight that's one of those sort of in limbo potential project opportunities that's kind of floating around out there. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks for that update.
Okay, here is our 2023 planning schedule. As you can see, it's quite bare. Just because, moving forward, we're working on the City Arts and Culture Work Plan, and after that update, we're going to be adding things to this. So even though it looks bare now, these blackouts are for special meetings. We had 2 this year. They'll be filled in as projects move forward, as well as these empty spaces. So this is what we're looking at right now. Just an update for you to what expect in January will be that work plan update, and then 2023 events and opportunities for Arts Council engagement. And then we'll move on through the year. Does anybody have any questions on this?
No, that's pretty clear. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Arts Council. Moving on to other business. Staff, do you have any other updates for us tonight? Okay. Eleanor, did you have anything additional to add?
Not at this time, I don't. But if anybody moving forward with the objectives and the priority items. Oh, Sarah has her hand up.
I see that. Go ahead. But you can finish what you were going to say, Eleanor.
I was just gonna say my email is always open, my phone's always on. Please reach out.
Thank you. Don't call her at 3 a.m. That's not nice. Sarah.
Yes, I was just going to say, in connection to public art, those of you who have been on the board or connected to the board in some way over the last couple of years know that the sculpture Fireflower by Giselle Berman was damaged in 2020 during the pandemic. It was part of an attempted theft. So it was deinstalled, and we just actually, as of last week, completed the restoration of the piece. So it's been moved into storage, in part because the location that we had tentatively decided on to re-site it is not ready yet. There is a possibility that it may come back after the first of the year to, talk with the Arts Council about maybe some other options for where to re-site the piece. That's also something that we can work on with the Public Art Committee, but I meant to have a picture for you all tonight to show you it in all its beautifully restored glory. So I will send that out later this week so you can see the piece.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. I look forward to seeing that picture, and that is fantastic news that that's been restored. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. One more update from the Parks and Recreation Commission. They're currently in the process of revising and updating our donation and gift acceptance policy. My anticipation is that this policy won't speak to public art. That will be a separate policy that I would like to develop in coordination with the Arts Council and possibly the Parks and Recreation Commission as well to refine there. So more to come, but that will be one of those items that's kind of floating out in the atmosphere that we're going to need to discuss here in the near future. So thank you.
Thank you. So members, is there any other business that we need to discuss or items to report this evening? I heard a ding from someone. Was that a request?
That's just my computer dinging.
Oh, okay. All right. If that's all the business we have, I do want to thank all of our liaison and members and staff for being here this evening. And since there's no other business to come before the Arts Council, the time is now 6:29 and the meeting is adjourned. Please, as a reminder, remember to stay seated until city staff has terminated the Zoom broadcast. Good evening and stay safe and healthy, and happy Halloween.
To you. Thank you.